So you start off strong. You have the goal in mind and you have building momentum with the team. You've sold the idea to your leadership team, or your leadership has sold you the idea. And now it's time to go. And you've built your project plans, but they can be quite long. And you realize that as you get towards maybe halfway through the project, momentum is fading. You're not excited anymore. Your team's not excited anymore. And it can be a real problem for leaders to keep that momentum and engagement and quality of work going on a long-term goal. So that's what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about three practical tips that I have seen through being a long distance runner and being a consultant in business and being in corporate life that I believe can help you take your team all the way to the finish line. Napa, if you're new to this channel, and I am a consultant with in HR and operational excellence. And the Lunch Bites and Leadership Insight channel is all for leaders because I know you don't have a lot of time, but maybe you have 15 minutes to solve your problems during your lunch breaks. So I want you to subscribe so you can always get to the latest in what we're offering and what I'm offering. Happy to answer your questions. Put that in the comments. But let's get started on this one. In 15 minutes or less, I'm going to help you solve this issue, bringing goals all the way to the end. So grab your sandwich and let's do this. So as I said, I'm a long distance runner. I just ran my first half marathon in a long time on Sunday. And it's not like you go from running nothing to a half marathon in a week. It takes a long time. It takes a training plan. So it's almost like a project plan. And I found that as I got over the hump of 6 miles, basically what you do is every week you start adding one more mile onto your long run until you get all the way to 13. And projects work a lot like that in business too, is that you plot out your training plan, your project plan is what we usually call it, and you start building momentum. You start out very small, nobody needs to do very much work. And then as you get closer to the end, things start rolling. But it's that middle part between you're halfway done, but you can't see the finish line that people really struggle. And one way to combat that is to figure out where there's milestones and natural stopping places in the project to kind of take a step back and celebrate or do some recognition, maybe some reevaluation of how your ways of working are being effective. So I've been a part of projects that were multi-years. I've been a part of projects that are multinational, and they take time and they can get kind of after a while. But it really helps when the leader stops, takes a minute, takes a break to celebrate what's going on and keep the team engaged and excited about what needs to happen to keep going forward. Another helpful tool that I have found recently is the 12-week year. Let's see if I can get that in the frame right. The 12-week year. It's a great book too to help you with kind of how to accomplish big goals in a short amount of time. And they have the advocate of using 12 weeks at a time in order to set your goals. So I'm going to link to that in the comments. It's a great book, and I highly suggest you read that too to kind of help you set the milestones of a project. The next way to keep the momentum going, especially when you get over that middle hump and things are just not exciting or sexy anymore, is to keep the team focused on the why. Why are you even doing this? I remember one project in particular that it was kind of small in nature, but me and my HR generalist, we were trying to change the electronic way we did some reporting in our HRIS system. And I can tell you, she was getting very frustrated. I was getting very frustrated, probably her more than me, because she was doing the testing. She was trying to work with the vendor and they weren't really cooperating. So, as her leader, what I hopefully did to her is kept encouraging her that how much better this would make her life after we slogged through this middle part of working with all the different components to make it happen. And she persevered. She's just a fantastic person. And we got there, and it really fundamentally saved her 8 hours a week on just basic data entry. But it's important to connect to the why. Why do we need to do this on top of all the other daily businesses we do? The second why that I want to give you pause about is also finding out, why are we still doing the project? When projects take a long time, the marketplace can change around you, the environment can change around you. So, you as the leader and as a leadership team, you want to evaluate periodically too, and communicate within yourselves and within the project team. Why do we need to keep doing this? And if you have that discussion, you may find out you may need to stop, because even if you complete the goal, what has changed around you will not help. This kind of happens with in long distance running. You have a goal. Okay, I want to finish a half marathon, but then say like a month before the race, I break my leg. If I break my leg, my goal of finishing a half marathon is just not reasonable anymore. The environment has changed around me. I need to recognize that. Stop. Am I disappointed? Yes, absolutely. I've probably already wasted time, money, other resources on my training schedule, but it's just not going to happen anymore because I'm not going to be successful. And as leaders, you need to think about that too when you are doing goal setting and you're on these projects. It's really reevaluate every once in a while. I think the 12 weeks is a good marker. Is that, are we doing what still makes sense? Are we still doing what our customers want? If it's an internal project, are we still doing what our employees need, or have things changed? So that is tip number two. Always be recognizing your why, and always evaluating, should we still be doing this? Final tip for these longer projects is change the momentum every once in a while. After the newness of the project wears off, maybe you give your team a break. Typically with a project, you're going to meet once a week, and everybody's going to do their work, and they're going to come back to the project meeting, and everybody reports out. Well, maybe for when you're recognizing you're getting in those team meetings and you're realizing that, everyone is just tired, it might make sense to just change up the momentum and take a week off. Say, like, for a week, we're not going to work on this. It's possible. World's not going to end if you take a week off, or at least stop the meeting for a week. So I've never had anybody upset for me canceling a meeting and giving them some more time back at their schedule. Your team will love it too. So that's one way to do it. Another thing you can do is just change up how you communicate. I'm sure you're probably using some interactive tool to report on everybody's steps. Maybe you do that a little bit differently. This is a great time too. Maybe you just get with your learning and development partners or your HR partners and ask them, hey, I want to kind of do a team event because I can see the team is slowing down. I'd like to do some kind of team building event, and your HR and L&D partners are going to come up with great ideas for you. So you're still going to be working towards the goal, but you're giving everyone a break. And I can see it, how I use this, going back to the long distance running analogy, is how I used to change things up. Of course, change the music, right? That's one way to do it, is change your playlist so you're not hearing the same music all the time. Sometimes I'd switch to podcasts. That kind of kept it fresh. Sometimes I had new running clothes. I would just try something new or get new shoes. So use those ideas of thinking, how can we start changing it up a little bit so we're still moving forward, but we're doing it in a fresh way, giving everybody's brain a break so we are solving still the right problem the right way. Nothing wrong with changing up momentum. And, it actually helps our brains to do so. So do that. Get that dopamine hit by changing things up, just like I do when I'm running. Well, that's it for this round of Lunch Bites and Leadership Insights. If these three tips helped you, I have more videos on goals, on how to keep them, how to motivate your team, and I mean, motivate them individually, and also how to stop from failing goals, things that I've seen where big companies have just flat out failed. So that is available to you as well. And be sure to subscribe and like, because the more that you can do that, that helps me out and I can create great content. Also, leave in the comments other questions that you have that you would like my opinion on. I've seen a lot, there's always more out there, but I'm happy to share. So, thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your lunch.